Hi, welcome to Quick Chapter 4, How Can We Work Together for the Good of Society? But just hold up, Quick Chapter series is just meant for a quick revision, so please pay attention in class and please still take a look at your teacher's notes. Okay, so what have we covered so far? In Chapter 1, we started our SS journey learning about what does being a citizen mean to me. And then in Chapter 2, we learned about what are the functions and roles of government in working for the good of society. Because before we do any form of complaining or trying to give feedback on what the government should do better, I think as citizens we should at least have like a basic understanding of what exactly is our government supposed to do for us and how exactly do they achieve it. After that we decide or we not we decide we learned about how do we decide what is good for society in Chapter 3. In Chapter 4, this is where we kind of combine all key learning points together and take a look at how the government don't exactly work in isolation. The government and citizens work together for the good of society. Because if you remember in Chapter 3, we learned that there will always be challenges and trade-offs, so the government decides on strategies, policies, or laws that are good for the society. Because as much as we try, there's no perfect decision that can benefit everyone in a country. Because a policy can try to be an all-rounder as much as they can, but there might be someone who falls through the cracks, and this is where we come in because as citizens we're the people walking the ground. We know people around us and we would notice things that the government would not know about. So for example, our neighbor, right? Our neighbor or a friend with a unique and difficult situation that makes it hard for him to get access to any of the current subsidies. This is where citizens come in to complement efforts that are already in place. So, how do governments and citizens work together? The government and citizens work together by addressing the needs of society. So, firstly, at the individual level, if a person sees a cause that he is passionate in and decides to volunteer, that is how the individual, can address the needs of society. So, this is Isaac Ping. I was reading an article about him, about how, he used to benefit from this tutoring program as a fellow student, and he decided to give back to society by being a volunteer tutor for students from disadvantaged families. But it's not just about Isaac Pay. A lot of you guys in your own capacity would probably volunteer with your family at your church or temple or mosque. Some of you guys might even help out in the local RCs with your parents. So as long as you're helping the community out in any capacity, that counts too. At the same time, we also have efforts by community groups. An example is RSVP Singapore, which is a social service agency, a former community group who are also senior volunteers. So what they do is that they do volunteer work like teaching IT skills and knowledge for senior citizens. So in addition by efforts by community groups, we also have efforts by the government. So the government need to create opportunities for the community to show care for the community by, setting up structures and national programs, providing resources in a targeted manner because they have access to things like manpower, money. So in conclusion, government and citizens work together by addressing the needs of society. Government set up structures, policy, national programs as a form of like a platform for the citizens to tap into to supplement their efforts to address the needs of society. So for example, the government tries to help to enable citizens to meet their basic necessities like getting food by giving CDC vouchers for citizens to redeem. To support that, we have Food from Heart, founded by Singapore-based food charity, founded by Singaporeans Henry and Christine. So what they do is they actually distribute surplus food to those in need. So government plus citizens working together to ensure that everyone in Singapore have basic necessities like food, that no one goes hungry. Second, second is influencing decision making in public affairs. Because in Chapter 3 you learn that it's really challenging to decide what is good for society because everyone will have different needs, interests, and priorities. Everyone wants different things. So the key idea is how can citizens and government work together to make informed decisions for the good of society? How can the government create policies or strategies that will really benefit people. How can the government really know what we want? So this is where citizens need to give feedback through official means like REACH. REACH is a national feedback and engagement unit under MCI. So what they do is they ask citizens on their views on public policies, and they will actually consolidate and share the feedback with relevant government agencies. So for example, is Singapore's war with diabetes, where the government actually consulted quite a lot of people with or without diabetes, caregivers, healthcare providers, to understand what is it like to live with diabetes. So with this feedback in mind, all these feedback and suggestions, they actually implemented 14 out of the 28 recommendations, like having a campaign to drink more water. So the government installed more water coolers in public areas as part of the campaign. So in conclusion, government and citizen work together by collaborating, and through this collaboration, it will actually influence decision making in public affairs. Citizens give feedback, which the government then use to shape its policies. So the more diverse and comprehensive the information the government receives from citizens, the more effective its policies become in meeting citizens' needs, because now the government will have a clearer idea of what citizens want. But at the same time, the government has a very important role in ensuring that they give citizens the chance to participate, because citizens can have all the opinions in the world, but if the government is not open to listening to these suggestions, then there is no point also. So this is where the government and citizens need to work hand in hand. Third, citizens and government work together to strengthen citizens' sense of belonging, because by having this sense of belonging, citizens will feel like they are attached to the country. They become more concerned about shaping the country's future because they are now invested. And this will encourage citizens to show care to one another. And I really feel that this will make the country a better place, because now we have citizens who are consciously looking out for one another. For example, during COVID-19, and it's continuing all the way until now, we see a lot of community pantries popping up. Some places are Yishun and Bukit Merah. So citizens started the idea. Government then support with spaces and resources, like giving designating a specific part of the void deck so that citizens can put all the food there, right? So this is an example of citizens and government working together. So in summary, both citizens and government can complement each other to address the needs of society. There is really a need for collaboration. So this collaboration can be seen in areas such as 1, addressing the needs of society, 2, influencing decision making in public affairs, and 3, strengthening citizens' sense of belonging. So these are key ideas or key concepts that are being covered in chapter 3. Thank you.